Good afternoon, my spirited living, goddess loving friends. This is Deborah Roth from Spirited Living and back with another installment of exploring our inner goddess team. And boy, I've been doing this for 3 years since the middle of the pandemic because I just so believe passionately that our world will go down the tubes unless we are very intentional about invoking the powerful qualities of the divine feminine. Any of my videos on YouTube, all of these that I record on Instagram Live or Facebook Live, they all end up on my YouTube channel. And there you can push on a little button and it'll tell you, hello, Barbara. It'll tell you just what those qualities are. I won't go into that now, but I've just taken so many different directions with this. Very often I decide what goddess I want to highlight depending on the season, or if there were ancient festivals or even modern festivals that are celebrated around the particular week that I'm doing this. And this week, this may be the first time I've done this. I am highlighting a goddess who I'd never heard of, the Egyptian goddess Meret. And it's spelled either M-E-R-E-T or M-E-R-I-T. And I'd never heard of her. And I found her because of where I am personally this week, which is in a mode of celebration for a number of reasons, but particularly my head, my life, my heart is full of song because the women's chorus that I sing in here in New York City called the So Harmoniums, you can, just like it sounds, So Harmoniums, all one word, you can find our website. Our concert, our spring concert is on Saturday, May 20th. And I have been just playing my alto one part over and over because there are several pieces we need to memorize, and and some of them are earworms, they get stuck in my head. But I've always said that singing is one of my therapies, which is why, if you've been watching at all, any of my videos, more often than not, I will usually sing a chant at the end. So I will do that today in celebration of Meret. Let me first tell you a little bit about her. So when I went looking for goddesses of song, and I knew, song and rejoicing and music and all of that, I knew about Hathor, I knew about Bast, also in the Egyptian pantheon. I had not heard of Meret, and apparently it's believed that she evolved into either Bast or Hathor. So that may be why I hadn't heard of her, but she was still pretty powerful in her own right. She, I'll show you the image of her after I explain her a little bit. Her name means beloved, which I love. And the Egyptian Book of the Dead describes her as having a calming influence all over the world. And she's also frequently depicted as twins. And I didn't find a whole lot about that. And in that way, she is, her name is Merety, M-E-R-E-T-Y. And she's typically depicted with a headdress of blue lotus flowers, which are connected to and symbolize, let me make sure I get this right, let's see, wearing a blue lotus flower headdress, a symbol of Upper Egypt. And then sometimes a papyrus is placed in this headdress as well, which represents Lower Egypt. And she was married, but she did a whole lot of cool things on her own. It always offends me. Two things offend me many things do when it comes to how these ancient divinely feminine goddesses are depicted. But oftentimes when I look for images of them, I find these very sexualized drawings, almost cartoonish, and I want to go back to the source, to the source of their power. The other thing that bothers me is that they're often only introduced because of their relationship to their husbands. Now, she apparently, Meret, had a pretty powerful husband. He was, in daily life, she was known as the wife of Hapy, which is only spelled with one P, but I love that it sounds like our English Happy. He was the god of the Nile, so he was pretty important. And she's often depicted with a bowl, a full bowl next to her, which represented a full harvest coming up. And I've talked about her blue lotus headdress, and also the papyrus. She's sometimes shown, and this is actually, I've got a little bit of a cold, excuse my Kleenex. This is one of the hieroglyphic images I found of her. You can see her blue lotuses and her headdress. I'm not sure if there's a papyrus there or not, but then she's holding this, it's called a nemset vase, and it's an offering bowl. And it was believed that was filled with either oil or milk, which she used to in rituals. She was the one. She was the goddess of cosmic order, and she was the one that the gods relied on to create meaningful rituals filled with music and dance and all the things that all of the followers of the Egyptian gods and goddesses needed to do in order to honor the gods and goddesses. And she is, so it is also believed that she anointed, as much as she's about happiness and rejoicing and singing, she also was believed to anoint the heads of the deceased. And in fact, there are images of her, and there is an inscription about her on the wall of let's see, what was his name? It's funny, I'm not an expert, so if anybody who is and knows more about her, I always say that. She is on the walls of Khufu's funerary temple, and which is the Great Pyramid. And the Great Pyramid is actually the temple of, as we know, the pyramids were where they buried their pharaohs and their leaders. And the funeral temple within, or the funeral room within the larger pyramid has her depicted on the walls. And it was felt that through her song, she could transform him into the spirit. He would rise up above through the temple roof. And her song was what allowed him to rise up and to move to his next life. And I loved this. I love this description. And as always, on the YouTube description, I will give you some of these resources, these websites that I found information about her. And I love the way, this is just such a poetic way to describe her. As I said, she's in charge of all the performance that happens in a ritual. She played an important role in all manner of ceremonies, and her function, therefore, transcends the strictly musical to encompass all the harmonies and rhythms of the cosmos, arousing the gods to action and accompanying their activities. So she had just this deep connection, both with in helping and supporting, and that's how we can call on her, helping and supporting the humans to celebrate and to bring song and music and order to their rituals. I've always called rituals sacred play when I officiate a wedding, or when I'm doing my new moon circle, which I'll talk about in a minute. I'm doing one of those tomorrow. There is a certain amount of order that's necessary there. So she's a great one to call on when you want to be uplifted, or likewise when you just want to bring calm. Remember, she's described in the Egyptian Book of Dead as being this calming influence. Let's see if there's anything else I want to tell you about her. I think I've hit the major things that I found about her. Oh, this was an inscription on a sarcophagus lid. No sorrow arose in my dwelling. Singers and maidens gathered together, made a claim like that of Meret, braided, beauteous, tressed, high-bosomed priestesses richly adorned, anointed with myrrh, perfumed with lotus, that's her lotus flowers, their heads garlanded with wreaths, all together drunk with wine. So this is how they celebrated the funeral of this particular pharaoh. Yeah. So the other celebration happening this week is that it is the new moon in Taurus coming up on May 19th. I'm actually doing one or two, not sure if I'm doing my live one yet, but I'm definitely doing my virtual new moon circle tomorrow. And it's very much about, and it's another reason that I feel connected with Meret this week, is that she's really about bringing us back into the earth to be, at our time of death. And Taurus is this very celebratory. It's ruled by Venus, so it's who is the goddess of love. So it's really very much about being grounded and practical and honoring our bodies. And so I will leave you with one of my favorite chants. Because she's all about, and there was somewhere in there where they talked about her gestures, how important they were. She's pictured with long hair, her arms raised in an act of clapping, playing musical instruments, and yeah, there was some place where it talked about just the way that she brought harmonies together, and that she used all of these to create sacred play, to create ritual. So, and that her gestures were an important part of that actual movement, which is, I always bring movement in when I'm doing earthy new moon circles like Taurus. So the chant that I will leave you with has really wonderful movements. I want to make sure I can get them all on the screen. And it goes like this. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Very elemental. We will likely sing that tomorrow in our new moon virtual sister circle at the Wellness Universe. And I will include the link for that as well. Thank you all for being with me, for learning a little bit about Meret. As always, whether you're watching this now, whether you're watching it sometime later in the year, you can call on her whenever you need some rejoicing. If you like what you've heard, if you go to my YouTube channel, it's just Deborah Roth on YouTube, then please subscribe, and I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm taking a break now every 3 weeks or so, but just continue to have fun doing this. So thanks so much for being with me. Namaste, and enjoy some singing and rejoicing of your own this week. Until next time.